anymore, right? Now they're looking for revenue. Now they're looking for revenue. So if the pipeline is zero, then the question to ask is, are you solving at the right revenue hierarchy? And that's a product problem that you have to go back and reflect on. Now, some of you said that it is a delayed closure, right? Now, what has happened is that there is a lot that has upended. There is a storm that is brewing, and everybody is acting like a deer in front of a headlight, right? They are frozen. Now, in times like these, what you need to be is that leader that can give the right kind of direction, guidance, and hope to your customer on saying that how can they navigate. And for this, you need to be telling a better story. You need to be saying that how in post-COVID world, how using the offering that you are able to help your customer with, you can help the customer reach a newer promised land. And like the internal term that we use is that you need to be able to tell a better Froto story from where you are, which is affected by COVID, to where you can thrive better. There are several decks that are available on the internet. The most popular one called Zuora, the greatest sales deck ever built. It follows this framing in terms of how customers are moving from software on demand towards subscription economy, and how Zuora, like the billing platform, is helping them. So you can look at those kind of examples, go back, look at the stories that you are saying, and how can you offer more guidance and more reassurance to your customer. Some of our companies, one specific example being #loyalty, was able to switch their story, and they were able to engage newer customers. First of all, they changed their revenue hierarchy that they were looking at. They were working on the restaurant industry. They said, if you did this, this is how it will directly translate into revenue. And then they combined this with a very powerful Froto story of saying how we're all going to live in an isolation economy, and how going away from a contagion dining experience to a contactless dining experience is what the restaurant should be reimagining, and how #loyalty is able to help them. So if you're able to give customers new direction and new promised land, some of this delayed closure can be addressed. So some of you also said, like one of 5 of you said that many customers are asking for discount, and very, very tactical input to that. So if somebody is asking for you a discount, one of the beauty about SaaS businesses, SaaS is a relationship business. So what you want to do in a SaaS business is, even if some customers, whether they have less willingness to pay or high willingness to pay, if they're asking a discount, you want to make sure that you cement the relationship with them. Now, you can give them that discount. Usually it is not a good idea to go down the discount spiral because it never ends. But you want to have something that is also taken back from you. One of our companies called Almabase, they do this really, really well. So they engage with customers, and when customer says, hey, can I get a discount? Then they say, hey, how can you help me with that, so that the discount works both for you and me. So whenever a customer asks for a discount, they ask them to go and review them on G2 Crowd. And one of this tactic has literally helped them to be the number 1 alumni management software as rated by G2 Crowd, ahead of Salesforce, ahead of Blackboard, which are the billion-dollar gorillas in their space. So think about it as cementing relationship with your customer. If you didn't like giving discount, now may be a time to give that, but also take something back from your customers. Right? So very few of you said that MQLs are increasing, but revenue is really, really flat. That tells me that there is something that is possible to optimize in your sales process. Typically, a SaaS sales process has these 3 steps. When a lead walks into your website and he signs up, does a demo or a trial. And after that, the way you have set up your team, you are going to have the 3 phases, which is the catch, where the LDR is going to catch the lead. He's going to do some secondary data research, and then he's going to qualify. And so he's going to mark it, and then an SDR is going to come and say, okay, it reflects my ICP of my product. So he's going to then qualify as MQL, and then he's going to set up demo, and then he's going to do further follow-up conversation with him to guide him through a decision-making process. Finally, it is handed to an AE who's a more experienced salesperson in the team, who's good at closing. So successful SaaS companies set this up as a process because you don't want the same guy to be doing all of them together. If that happens, then the MRR fluctuates. One month LDR, the same person will do LDR role, will have a lot of MQLs, and another month he'll focus on close. You'll have a lot more closure. So this process, you want to set it up in such a way that it is working properly between catch, coach, and close. Now, where in this process is where your drop happening is the question. Because if there are a lot of people that are interested in what you are offering, and especially so because now post-COVID your offering is more relevant, then there is something that is possible to debug in this process and improvise. And that may be the area for you to look at. So to go more in detail into that process, how to look at that, I just this week I released a book called Sesame. I co-authored with someone called Sandeep Medisetti. He's the head of sales for Almabase, the example that I spoke about. And the part one that we released is for selling SaaS, somebody who's just getting started into the process. And coming soon is how any developer can think about selling SaaS. So more details about how the process looks, how it has worked for about 15 different companies is there in the book. Yeah. So to summarize, 4 things that we talked about. One is that you must align yourself into a must-have category. You need to be speaking to the revenue. And if you're already doing that, then closures are getting delayed. You want to recraft your story in such a way that it is very impactful and takes the customer out of the frightened zone and makes him come along with you and get reassured and close that deal for you. And if some customers are asking you for discounts, think about having a long-term relationship. You can give that discount, but also make sure that they are also able to contribute something back to you. And finally, relook at your sales process and debug that so that if demand is shooting up, then something in your sales process is not suited in the post-COVID world. So relook at that and fine-tune your sales process. So with that, we can go to Q&A. Sandhya, how would you suggest we orchestrate this through chat?
I think we should, so I have asked people to either raise hand if they have questions or type their questions on the questions tab. I don't think we have any questions right now. Guys, if you have any questions, please write them down on the questions tab or raise your hand. I can give the mic to you and you can ask it directly to the speaker. So we have one raised hand, that is Dr. Sanjeev. So Dr. Sanjeev, I'm giving you the mic access. Hello.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sanjeev Patni. I have a kind of very straight question, which is in the space of productivity. In your own pyramid, you mentioned about various kind of stages. So where does a kind of a solution on productivity management, for example, a timesheet management does come into this? Is it a kind of top line or bottom line or workflow kind of thing?
It will depend on the ICP that you're targeting, but without any specific ICP, or it would be at a workflow level, right? Because unless you are able to show that this improved productivity is either going into bottom line or into top line, right? It'd be hard to take it out of this zone. So now, if let's say a company like Twitter is there, right? Twitter today doesn't care about top line or bottom line, right? It probably cares about a readjusted workflow. So if you're selling a solution to Twitter, right, for them, this is not survival is not the problem for them. They may still be able to engage with you. But if you are using productivity as a tool and selling it to a Series A company that was about to raise its Series B and the investor backed off, then that company is not interested in like knowing or improving its workflow. It is saying that how do I improve my top line so that I can survive.
No, got that. Well, I think it primarily depends on the kind of customer, what stage they are on, and with that, the kind of pitch will completely change.
Right. The customer persona that you choose to target. Maybe you have built the product only for like Series A startups, right? Or maybe you built the product where it will be more relevant for only large companies. Only 10,000 plus organizations can use your product, right? So for them, like the importance will change, right? But for all the small companies, this is becoming like very, very important. Now, if you were selling the same thing to, let's say, Hertz, which just filed its bankruptcy yesterday, even though it is 10,000 people company, right? It doesn't care about this. Right? So you and use this pyramid and find out where is it that like your offering comes in and where does your customer care for today. That would give the answer.
Sure. I think you have an excellent command on the subject. Let me congratulate you first of all.
Thanks, Sanjay. What kind of productivity do you do?
We have a solution on timesheet management, in which case, number of things related to the attendance, timesheet, time accounting, task management, all those kind of things are coupled up into one basket, and we are now coming out of the NBL and trying to offer it to the market. And that's where we see kind of a lot of value from the organization like yours coming up with some kind of more matured kind of an approach towards the market, and we'll definitely like to get in touch with you to sort it out.
So, are you focused on India or US?
I think US is the kind of large market, but India and US, I would say, but largely not focused on large organization, but focused on SMEs. I mean, I would qualify a 500 user company to be an SME, and therefore, sales around there is typically shorter cycle oriented. So that's how I would go around. But
so
honestly, I sorry, come again.
How many MQLs are you generating in a week?
No, it's not being sold as of now. So now we're coming out of the anvil.
Okay, you're pre-launch and you're launching now.
Yes.
Correct. So one of the things is that like the launch and like you should be generating MQLs even before your launch. And so there's a friend of mine. He's the head of marketing for Interview Mocha, and he did a session with our startups last evening. And he's ex Freshdesk and ex Wingify. He says this beautifully. He says that you want to start the marketing of your offering 8 months before you launch, which means to do the launch, you want to make sure that at least hundreds of MQLs are coming in. And the way you do that is by talking about the origin story of your organization, saying, why did you get started? What are you doing? And then just maybe write a simple blog and get many people interested, and then even share that blog almost on a daily basis on LinkedIn. And that should generate interest for you. By the time you launch the product, you have many people that are willing to try it out.
No, quite agree. And probably I can get in touch with you with your contacts and try and see how we can work together on it.
Yeah. So I'm happy to share some of the links that Sai has written, some on Upekkha blog can come in handy.
No, sure. I'll be very pleased to get those links if that's possible on this blog, on this presentation.
Sure. We'll do that. Sandhya will share that. Sandhya, is there any other question?
There are many questions popping up. Thank you.
A lot more in depth. So you feel free to prompt me and then moderate the questions. I'm unable to see them myself.
Sure. I'll read them out to you. Thank you, Sanjeev. So next question, I think before we go to other raised hand questions, there's an important basic question here. Sugandh asked, sorry for asking a novice question, how to differentiate between MLQs from other leads?
MQLs from other lead.
MLQs, MQLs, maybe that's what you meant.
So, Yeah. So MQL is a fancy name that the SaaS world has given to leads.
Oh,
Right. So so let me use this. Right. This is a good diagram to explain this. Right. So when, like, I initially talked about saying that your SaaS business is like a Levi's jeans showroom, right? Where people are walking in. So you're doing some sort of storytelling, you're creating something exciting, you're spreading it across like social media, LinkedIn, and other places, and then saying, hey, come check this out, I've got something interesting. So those leads, so people that are piqued or intrigued by what you have to say are coming to your website. Now they may have different sizes, right? They could be worth $1 to you, worth $10 to you, $100 to you, $10,000, $1,000 to you, $10,000 to you, $100,000 to you, like monthly, yearly, right? So when they walk in, right, so this is that is outbound. So you do some marketing to attract them. Now when they come to your website, based on what you have to offer, you will say, you know what, my product does not cater to someone from Reliance if he comes to my website, because I'm only working on like accounting, right? And so it's not relevant for them. So what you do is then you put together a CRM tool and you put together a set of folks within your organization and say, okay, you know what? The guy who is going to do the closing, which is the 3 steps in the sales process, catch, coach, and close, his time is very, very valuable. So we can't just let everybody that is coming in like bog his time. So what we will do is we will do filtration, and maybe in some cases we will have to have longer conversation with people before they are ready to close, right? So you set up this process of saying, okay, some visitor came in, he's going to try my product. If he liked it, and I'm going to say, you know what, he is marketing qualified lead, right? Because what you're going to say is that I built the product for someone who is interested in doing education presentation. The guy that he came in, he was interested in doing presentation, but he may not be from a school, but he's from corporate. But still, the product that I built will still work for him. So the first person standing at the door of the Levi's jeans showroom is going to say, you know what, this person looks like he would be interested in using what we have. Then he is handed off to someone, which is called an SDR typically. That type of a salesperson is going to say, the same lead that came in looks like I can talk to him, find out what his needs is, and then I can show him a range of solutions that I have as offer to him, and spend maybe half an hour, and maybe do it in multiple days to see if he finds what he's looking for. Now, based on that interaction, this SDR is going to say, you know what, this particular person is someone who has the need, he has the budget, and he has the ability to take a decision, and he can close this week, right? So then so the salesperson, the SDR person is going to go to his colleague and say, you know what, let's give him all the incentives for him to close, right? So then the account executive, right, he comes and says, you know what, why don't I offer you a 5% discount, or why don't I bundle this along with you, bundle this for you along with this, so that you can take a decision today. So what has happened is, who was a visitor that came into the website was marked as a marketing qualified by the person who stood at the door, was handed to a SDR who spent time with him, engaged with him, understood his needs, showed him something, and made an assessment that this is a guy who is going to likely close this week, this month, this quarter. And this guy was marked as SQL and handed off to the A who's going to close this. So MQL, SQL is really a qualification that you're applying on a lead, which is a visitor that came into your website, so that you can efficiently spend the time of your sales team, right? And the pre-SaaS term for this was, okay, is this a suspect, right? Is this a prospect, right? It starts with a lead, suspect, prospect, and then close. Now, lead, the literal meaning just says that, you know, somebody leads towards you, right? And that was taken in a different context, and that instead of calling it as suspect and prospect, the SaaS world started calling it as marketing has said, yes, this guy is qualified. Sales has said that this guy is qualified. That means the sales qualified leads that you have are the ones that you can really be confident about closing this particular quarter. Does that answer that question?
Yes, that was very explanatory. Thank you so much. So we'll quickly go through the raised hand questions first. Then we'll take up the questions in the questions tab. So now we have Vikrant. Vikrant, I'm giving you access to the mic. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Vikrant. We are from Mumbai, and we are not exactly from the SaaS. We belong to food industry. We have a brand called Homely, and we used to. Our large part of business used to come from corporates, SMEs, and big brands, and especially co-working players like WeWork and AWFIS and even Springboard. So, a direct question: whenever the situation restarts and the lockdown gets lifted, when do you think actually people will start having such conversations again to relook at basically adding a value proposition as far as employee benefit is concerned, like food as a kind of a medium to reach out to employee benefit events, or especially in case of WeWork for their co-workers? How do we basically start having those conversations, and when do we expect?
So Vikrant, as you said, that this is not a SaaS related question, right? But this is the conversation that I keep having every day. So I'll tell you my point of view, right? And I think it's also saying that when are we going to go back to our old normal, right? I don't think my short answer is no, we're not going to go back to the old normal. Now I want to sort of point you to this slide as well as this slide, right? Like one thing you have to appreciate, Vikrant, is that there are a lot of businesses today that are doing phenomenally well even now. Right? And why I want to sort of point to this slide is that if you are having revenue related conversation today, right, people are having closures, right? The business is moving forward. So you may have had some other offering which was pre-COVID and people were interested in that, but maybe it was not related to revenue. But the top of the mind today has moved to survivability to revenue. So my response to this is it doesn't matter when the thing is going to open again and when are people going to go back and think in the old mode. Right? And I don't even want to predict when people are going to go back and think in the old way. My recommendation is let's change your offering and make sure that you can have that conversation today. I mean, I can give you the example of #loyalty, which was selling loyalty, right? Which is a very important workflow. Right? But they have completely changed themselves to saying that I'm going to help you with contactless dining experience design. If you're a restaurant, then let me help you with making sure that you're able to do delivery and do delivery in a hygienic way. That means that does it change the offering? Does it change the problem? Does it change the product? Yes. So that's why I said that the pipeline zero is not a sales problem. It is a product problem. It's something that will make you relook at yourself completely new. If the world itself has changed fundamentally, then why shouldn't you change your offering fundamentally? Now, without knowing the specifics of your business, this is what I would say that you should look at what is going to have revenue conversation today. Maybe there is a more and
Sure. Thanks a lot. I will just request you to go back to that slide of Satya Nadella. I just missed the beginning of your presentation. I just wanted to check that slide once.
So a few days ago, Satya said that the digital transformation that most of the CIOs and IT folks talk about, which has been around for a while, and this is the trend or the wave that new businesses like Box and things like that were riding. That many thought will take 2 years, 5 years, and different industries were going at different speeds. What Satya said is that their observation is that what they expected it to happen in 2 years is literally happened in 2 months. And that is what you see reflected in the charts that is doing around the social media, where Microsoft Teams is really high here and Slack is here. They had some 18x growth, right? Zoom went from 10 million users to about 200 million users.
Right. Perfect. Thanks a lot. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikrant. Next we have Revant Kumar. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
At this moment, I feel like a blind man. I can't see anyone. Yeah. Hey, Ravan.
Yeah, actually, my question is like, in this present scenario or situation, how to launch SaaS product?
What type of product you want to launch?
Yeah, it's like social media tracking, social media monitoring.
So, like I said, like let's say that you want to launch 3 months from now, or like 6 months from now. Let's start writing something on a blog, saying that why is it that you care about this, and start writing almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay. Start writing about what are the changes that analytics or social the trend, and post forward why this is happening, and write a blog post on a topic like that in a very broad sense for the next 90 days. And after that, whatever you feel like launching, you will have customers who are willing to have conversation with you. Now that is a very simple, like without even understanding what it is, right? Now, like if you want to get into a details of this, then the question would be like, why do you want to launch social media or social media scheduling tool? Because there are different tools that are there. And are you going to do social media analytic tools for SMB, or are you going to do it for mid-market, or are you going to do for enterprise? Right? Are you going to attract a lot of rats and rabbits, or are you going to attract a lot of deers? Because if you're going to do this, then like while the world has frozen a little bit, but they will start spending in another quarter or 2 quarters. But if you're going to focus on this audience, then it is going to be like a tough job trying to attract a lot of them through the marketing effort that you will do. Now, like the more detailed answer that I can recommend you is, last year I wrote a book called Value Saas Guide, which is the guide to get to the first 10K MRR. And in that book, I've literally broken it down into steps and saying that what and how exactly you would do to get to your first $10,000 in MRR. So it is available on Amazon. So if you search for Value Saas Basecamp Guide, it is there on Amazon. And it is also a free PDF also is available that we pushed out called bit.ly/Value Saas Guide. I can share the links with Sandhya and she can email it to you. That
Sure.
will have the long detailed answer to your question.
Correct.
Yeah. Actually, it's like automation tool.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, it is social media. Yeah, I mean, like the tool is like automation tool. I mean, it will give like work like chatbot for the comment section like that.
Yeah, are there alternatives to that in the market?
Yeah,
Which
at
is-
present, no.
If it is there, it's a good news. If it is not there, then also it couldn't be a good news, right? So if it is not there, it is good news in the sense that you can find out if the need exists and if you are building something unique, right? But if it is there, then that means the space is validated. But if it is there, the question is that why will somebody choose you over the other alternatives? And that's what you want to figure out. So yeah, so long answer, I'll recommend you to look at the Value Saas Guide.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Ravan.
Thank you.
We move quickly to other questions. Next up is Ravan. Hello,
Hi.
Ravan.
Hi, this is Ravan. First of all, thank you so much for a very valuable and insightful presentation. I actually went through the Value SaaS guide, and it's very insightful, and I would definitely recommend others also to go through that. And since it's free, it's pretty insightful. Now, I have a digital business card platform where enterprises and large enterprises with Salesforce, they can go digital with their business cards. There's no physical business card that you can actually hand over or need to hand over. So nowadays, with whatever is happening, people are shy of taking anything from other people, right? So this is completely contactless. Now we are seeing a lot of interest. We are generating about we focus on large enterprises in BFSI and pharma. Now, while we are seeing a lot of marketing qualified leads coming in and inbound, the challenge that we are facing is during the negotiation, because this is a kind of a new product category. They don't know where to price it. We also don't know where to price it. We do have competition from international players, but locally, especially in India, people don't value software. And whenever software comes in, they assume that it does everything under the sun. So we are in a peculiar position where we are unable to price it correctly. And because we ourselves, though we have some benchmark about what is the pricing, because there's a comparison to paper-based cards, which no longer exists. People are beating down the price a lot. I don't know to what level I can cut.
Okay.
The problem is pricing pressure. How do I price my product, and large valuable? We don't have large valuable customer in the first customer. We are talking to about 10 large customers. We don't have the first one. So for me, to get the first one is important. And to get the first one, I have reduced the price, and I have to reduce the price for all 10. The point is, how do I increase the price, or how do I take care of the pricing? Because using the current situation, people are squeezing us a lot.
So 2 questions, right? So first one is, what is your geography? Are you targeting India geography customers?
Right. So right now, to start off, because we just launched the product, we want to stabilize the platform, see what kind of technical issues and load we can handle. We are targeting India, and most of my marketing, both email, LinkedIn, and Google AdWords, are focused on India.
Okay. So the second question is, you said that there are competitors that are there, though you mentioned that this is a new product, right? It's a new category. Can you tell me names of few competitors?
Yeah, Haystack is one competitor outside of India. They have about 3,000 businesses online, and they are based out of Australia. Haystack, and then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is digital business cards. That's right.
Okay.
So they're priced at very much higher, probably about 10 times higher than what we do. So and people are still squeezing us. So they are at about $3 a month per employee. That's about, and we are charging $3 a year.
Okay. So pricing. This is one of my favorite topic, not related to sales at all, right? But I love talking about pricing. So since you said that you have read the Basecamp guide, right? So I want to remind you what Sridhar Vembu said. It's easy to earn $1 than to earn a rupee, right?
Rupee, correct.
And that I'm seeing is true even post-COVID, even though Sridhar seems to have changed his mind. And Sridhar is more smarter than I am. So maybe he's right. Maybe the Indian customers will do better. So we are living in a crazy time. We don't know who's right, who's not. But
That's
in
right.
general, Indian customers are very, very price sensitive, right? But this also reminds me of a joke that I shared in another session that I was doing. See, and then I want to come with, leave you with a small tip about pricing, right? So the joke that I heard was that, why as Indian entrepreneurs, we price very less, right? So my Anand Mahindra, he released an electric car, I think year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And then he released it, released a note on Twitter. So somebody on the comment said, and he is inspired by Maruti, right? So he said, "Sir, kitna deti hai?" I'm assuming that you understand Hindi, right? So there's the famous Maruti Suzuki ad, which is saying that Indians are very, very value conscious, right? So the response from Anand was, "Sir, ye electric hai, shock deti hai." Right? So we are always underpricing ourselves, right? Because we have this, we look for discounts everywhere, so we won't price it high, right? So one of my requests to you is, please price it to whatever the Australian company is pricing, right? And the second thing I would say is that if you're doing LinkedIn and if you're doing Google, and this is something that we, a global audience, then let some lead from Australia or South Africa find you. And let him compare you with Haystack on your ability and your value and maybe your customer success and your support. Or another differentiation that you can come on top of Haystack, as opposed to saying that you are cheaper. Cheaper will never win the race. People are not going to make choices on saying that this is cheaper, so hence we have to appreciate one thing even in the Maruti ad is that they're looking for value. They are saying that I want to know that I'm getting more value than what I'm paying. Right? Now, so the simplest way to price anything, right? Pricing is an art, but the simplest way to price anything is find a competitor, peg slightly ahead or below that. Not too much, right? But then help every lead of yours evaluate you as a better alternative to that competitor. Now, some people do like a marginally lesser than a competitor. Some people do marginally higher than the competitor. Pricing is actually done that way. Like the way we decide prices, we'll say, oh, like what is an alternative for this? Let's look at that and we pay for it. Like imagine, right? So you like the water that is available for a 50 paisa in a packet is something that we pay 50 rupees for in a 5-star hotel. Nothing can be more commodity than water. So price is a number which is cost plus and value minus. If you know what is the value of your product, then you can charge as much closer to that value than looking at. Don't look at the cost and don't look at saying that I'm going to give 1/10 of what that is.
Got it. Thank you.
And then, next question. Sandhya?
Sorry, so the next question is Surya Teja. Hello.
Yeah, Sandhya.
Hello, Surya. Hello. I don't think he is also able to access his mic. We go to the next question, Sagar. Hello, Sagar.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Sagar.
Sir, I have a fintech. I'm working on a fintech product, sir. It's a SaaS-based product. My question to you is how to find the early adopters at the same time generate the sense of urgency.
So, like, if you're finding early adopter, it's actually a very good question. If you find the early adopter, then you don't have to worry about urgency with them, right? So it is very, very contextual, that one, Sagar, because like it's in different application, it will be different places. Like one of the general plays where everybody that is building a developer or like a new SaaS application will do is they'll go and do a product and launch, right? So like those who are building developer related tools will go and share it in Stack Exchange or Reddit or Hacker News, right? So like early adopter by definition are people who are not worried about as much the price, but more in terms of caring about, hey, I want to get on board to the next cool thing. So they anyway have a self-driven urgency, right? So they're two different things. Like, it's people who are not early adopters for whom you have to think about the urgency question. And so what is the app that you're building? Maybe that will help me answer this better.
So it's a fintech product. It's a wealth management product. Currently, due to this pandemic, every single person or people are looking for health security or it's a wealth. How can they secure their wealth? The two aspects people are looking forward for. So we are a digital vault where we ask our customers to secure their documents, valuable documents, financial assets, and we reach out to we help giving the access of this information to the trustee or the nominee.
So if I were in your position, I will use Twitter. Right? There are so many guys, there are so many wealth managers who are just talking about what they are going through. People are just pouring their heart out on like how they are getting impacted. If you have a good source for them, you just have to go and engage with all of them over Twitter.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Next we have Chandrasekhar Reddy.
Hi, Chandrasekhar.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Wonderful session, and I've been looking at the queries that you have been answering. So I thought probably would be of great help for my field. Right, we are in manufacturing of bioproducts. Right, in different segments we are in poultry, wastewater, aqua, and so on. And here my question is,
I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you come closer to the mic or do any other increase the volume?
Now?
Yes.
Yeah, we are into basically manufacturing of bioproducts. We are in different segments like poultry, aquaculture, wastewater treatment, housekeeping chemicals, so on. And now my question is, we have offered a price for a corporate company, okay, which is far lower than any other client that we have offered for. And now this corporate client is going to supply the same product to his chain of businesses across India. Now, our concern is the price that we have offered to this particular corporate is being published on the invoices or XYZ documents. And now that is creating a problem for us when we get into the market with other customers. So how can I really come out of this particular situation?
Where when you go into the market, the price is different, is it?
And the price that we offer to other customers is different. Suppose 100 we offer to other customers after discount, and we have offered almost 50 rupees to this corporate. Now this corporate is giving the same price, right, passing on the same price to all its farmers across India, and that is being published. Now farmers would be having an interaction with each one another, and they know the price. And this is giving an impact when we go to other companies or other individual farmers saying this price is 100, but the farmer comes back and says that corporate is giving us for 50. So now we wanted to really come out with this kind of situation.
And do you have direct relation to all these farmers? Are you contracted by the corporate?
No, we directly deal with that corporate. They have almost 6,000 farmers in hand, and they supply it. And apart from that, in other regions and in same regions also, we have contractors who are in contract with us. So they know each other and they come to know about the pricing now.
Well, so this is a pricing question and maybe also like a distribution/scale question, right? So see, if you didn't have access to these 6,000 farmers, then like what this corporate is actually charging you is the access to that distribution. But because of the changed scenario, if you have access to the direct customers directly, then you have to renegotiate with the corporate, right?
Yeah.
See, nobody likes them being treated differently at a pricing level, but that is the reality, right? You know, the same thing, if you buy it directly from the farmer, it will cost you 5 rupees. But if you're going to buy it at the Jio retail store, it is going to cost you 100 rupees. And all the people that are involved in the middle, they are adding up their markup. And that is why the price is going up. Now, if you short circuit all of them, then you can directly access it that 5 rupees where the producer, which is what companies like Ninja Cart and all are doing. Now, earlier, the middlemen did not used to like it. And they used to even threaten Ninja Cart. And now they have no choice because the middleman can't operate and Ninja Cart is directly talking to the farmers and delivering it to the customers. So what is happening with COVID is a lot of this value chain is getting retooled, right? And you should just tell the end customer saying like, look, past price was past price. Everything has changed. So don't compare with respect to that. And if the corporate is posing any problem for you, you will have to renegotiate contract with them. And in times like these, like people are breaking contracts. Right?
Yeah, I agree on that. But the corporates, when it comes, the pricing will depend on the volume. Right? When compared to individual farmer, when corporate comes, it will be huge volume. So that is where we go with the pricing discounts.
That's also true, right? That's the point I was saying earlier about saying they are charging you the access, but it makes it work for you at a volume level.
Yeah. So now we have a serious threat for us. So that is where I thought if I can get any. So you suggest that we need to renegotiate with the corporate and get it done.
Yeah, based on what you've said to me so far, it looks like you'll have to go back to the corporate, renegotiate it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. I think we will just, pause for a minute for people to fill in the survey. I request all the participants to go and fill in the survey, and then we'll take up quick questions and before wrapping the session up. So please go and fill up the form.
Sandhya, do you know how many more questions?
We have many actually. I don't think we can go through all of them. But what I can do is I'll mail them to you. Maybe you can pick the ones that are really relevant and answer them if you have time. Then we can share it across to all the attendees. Maybe that would be better.
Sure.
But I don't think we'll be able to cover all the questions that we need.
Yeah. So as I wrap up, I just have one slide to flash. So I'll wait for your cue to flash.
Sure. Okay, sure. Meanwhile, why don't you tell us about how you came up with the idea of having a totally remotely working organization? Like, what is the motto behind it? Because then there is no situation as such that you have to do it, right? But why did you choose to go for totally remote?
So that's a very interesting question. I think Prasanna, my colleague, can give a lot more colorful answer. I'm going to take a shot at it. So one of the core things that we believe at Upekkha is this notion of how entrepreneurs make decisions. And one of our advisors, name is Saras Saraswati. She's studied thousands of entrepreneurs across like last 2 decades or even more. And she said that entrepreneurs, they don't make decisions based on what is the upside, but they make decisions based on what is the downside. What it means is that they take decisions based on affordable loss, right? Now, when Prasanna and I got started with Upekkha, what we saw was a lot of B2B founders, they're shoved down to the path of going down the unicorn status, which meant that a lot of them were not making any meaningful outcome for them. Even if they got to about 10, 20, $50 million, the way the deals happen, it doesn't translate to them. And only 1 or maybe 3% of them even go to that 10, 20, $30 million kind of outcome. So we said we have to reimagine the process of how we help founders. We need to help founders go from 100K to 1 million in such a way that we can help 7 out of 10 as opposed to 1 out of 10. Which means that we should move away from the unicorn way of doing it. So the way we had taken was a completely different way, right? And how we do it is by telling that founders should take affordable bets. But then we also had to take affordable bets on there. So what we did was we said, look, if we take fancy offices and if we get people into one place, then this new way of doing it, then that becomes very, very costly affair for us to run programs. And we also needed to do this for 2 years and not 3 months, right? And in earlier Avatar, in many accelerators that you see, it's a 3-month program. There is a place, everybody comes there, they do some work, and then they move forward. We spent 2 years. And if we had to do this for 2 years with a lot, then it would have meant a lot of cost that we have to put upfront. So we said, how do we make it affordable for us as well? And we said, okay, location. Why do we need location, right? And we found out the specific places where we needed location. We said, when we need to speak with the startups for that, period, then we need that location. And also there are places where startups need to speak to another startup. That is when we need a physical location. So we said, okay, only for that time we will borrow offices from our friends who are running other large companies and bring the startup and then do the discussion. And then again, when we have to discuss, we will do it over Zoom or Google Hangout. Now, what has happened post-COVID is that even that, like bringing all the startups together, now we do that over Zoom. So we were 80% remote before. Now we are more than 100% remote right now.
Okay. Yeah, now that you say it, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. So I request anyone who wants to fill the feedback later on, please do it. The link is already in the chat board. I think we'll go for one last question before you go over the slide. Is that okay?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. So next up is Shrikant. Shrikant, I'm giving you the mic access. Hello, Shrikant.
Hi, Shrikant.
No, I don't think I'm able to give the mic access to him. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Shrikant. I don't know. Somehow I'm unable to give him mic access. I think he has not enabled. We'll go to the next question. Surya.
Hi, Surya.
I think something is wrong. Okay, we have Shyam, but I think, Shyam, do you have?
Yeah. Thank you, Sandhya. I can hear you. Hello. Yeah, Rajan. Yes, this is Shyam. So I have a startup in T-Hub called Razor Ops. That is a container native CI/CD solution where we help startups to streamline their pipeline, deployment pipeline from local machine to production machine. So like that, we have a dev product basically. So my question was regarding basically how to run better or lean way to run the ads to promote the developer focused product startup.
How to run better ads?
How to run better or lean way to run the ads to promote a developer focused startup.
So my recommendation for you would be that so one of the things that is happening is thanks to COVID is the ad rates are falling like crazy, right? Many people who used to sort of struggle to get $10, $50 CPM, they're all getting it at $3, $2 now, right? So if you are thinking about running any paid campaign, if you had the budget for it, whatever you do will already have a better impact, right? To give you the lean lens, right? So it will always be more impactful right now because of how the changes in the industry has happened. But if you are building something CI/CD and it is a developer-focused product, if I were in your position, I would spend more time on Quora, Hacker News, and Stack Exchange, right? And not spend as much time on paid lead acquisition, unless of course you are maybe 10K or 20K of MRR, and you have completely exhausted all your organic channels to get your first 100 or a few hundred customers. Maybe the first question that I should ask is what is your current MRR and what are you looking to go to?
So right now, basically we just started. So not much. We have few paid customer, 5 or 6 paid customer, but most of customer are free customer. Ours is a SaaS product. So we have given a freemium kind of plan.
What is the freemium time?
So premium plan is a lower build server, basically 1 GB, 1 vCPU, like that.
Do they evaluate it free?
Yeah, so they can just be on free for some time, and then as per their basically
15 days, or is it more?
So free forever. Basically we are pitching that free plan forever, and then they can they can move to the second or third plan as per their need.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of free forever model. Right? I know of very little companies who have actually broken profit out of freemium model. Right? So the many that have tried, there are very, very barely few of them. I know a company, brilliant product company from India. They had 4 million users, free users. This is a product that I actually like pound my chest saying that this was built in India. This is a pride for India, built for the world. That good it is. It is as good as the Apple quality. But they had 4 million users, and then they had less than 1% who were willing to convert it. Which means that the effort, the 5 years that the founder put in that product, he could not make it sustainable. And I always tell that story to a lot of people who do freemium. Now, globally, there are people who have made freemium work, like Evernote gave a shot. It'd be difficult for me to count the number of people who's built freemium and built sustainable businesses out of that. Right. And that particular product, he had the 4 million user product, he had to shut it down because at $40,000, he's charging some $19, $20. Right. He was not able to just eke out. So if for a CI/CD product, I would rather put a free trial. Right. Unless this freemium is going to give you, is going to subsidize the cost of acquisition massively, but the math makes sense. And if you're anyway getting launched, I would you can have customers who are doing alpha test, beta test for you. The value of the product will be known when the first dollar is going to come into the company. Right. So I would restrict it to a 7-day or a 14-day trial and not even try a freemium model at all. Right. I know your question was more about ads.
No, that is also very useful, basically. Yeah.
Product and pricing. But before I go there, I would first fix this. And what is your alternative? What are other players in the market?
So main basically reason behind putting like that was alternative is many like Jenkins X or Jenkins CI or GitLab CI or Circle CI. So these are the all open source product, already matured enough product. So in India, basically the product we are not focusing in India, but it's still it's a developer product, so anybody can try. But in India, people are more into software development. They go to directly open source product. So our way was we are SaaS product. So same kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying that open source is not a problem at all. And just because it is open source doesn't mean that it can't be priced. And just because there are people who use free product doesn't mean that they won't pay for another product. You have to just literally look at the value. Right. And otherwise it will take you in a direction where you will be in just the feature spiral. They asked for this and this guy started building, and the open source guys are going to do it for passion. They may be employed in a large company, or they may have another way of making money for themselves. Right. And what they are doing is a hobby. Right. So that reminds me of one of my favorite quote. Right. A hobby that makes money is a startup. A startup that doesn't make money is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Right. So getting $1 plastered onto your product would be very, very critical to know if that is going to generate value and do. The space that you are in, I understand that there is Jenkins, there is GitLab CI, but if you are able to find one unique angle or dimension, you should be definitely able to charge $10. And if you are able to do that, if you put the $10, go on to these cloud-related discussion portals, some maybe even in Stack Exchange itself, and see if you are able to get some guys interested and pay for your tool and see if you are able to make that $10 happen. Before that, doing LinkedIn ads, Google ads will not be useful at all.
Okay. Thanks. I think that is very useful. Thanks for the suggestions.
Thank you, Shyam. Now I think we can proceed with your slide.
Sure. Okay. So this is my last slide. What I wanted to ask you guys was, out of all the discussions that we had, in many of the cases, it was not just a question. I tried attempting, looking at the question and going a little bit deep and see if there is a generic lesson that everybody in the audience can get, including that and the initial slides that we had. If you combine all of that, if there was one takeaway that you could get from this session and apply it next week, not a month later, not about talking to anyone about this, hey, how good or bad this session was, that one thing that you would apply next week, what would that be? Can you go to Menti and use a different code now? The keyword here, folks, is apply next week. So So take 30 seconds or a minute if you have to think about it. Okay, so let's go to the results and see what are some of the things that you're saying. Give discount, but take better pricing. Read values as Sesament. LSS guide is different. Sesament is different. Find early adopters. Nice. Apply. Okay. Looks like maybe there was a simple word that got cut out. Renegotiate. Inbound. Start 8 months in advance. Good. So someone has written strategy change. Can you please take that and break it further? Because in 1 week, you won't be able to do big strategy change. Like if you're like, what exactly does that strategy change means? I want to write that again. The strategy change is, it's like what one of my friend calls is motherhood statement. Like you can just put anything underneath that. It's not specific. Discount, but not free. Okay. Better pricing, renegotiate, customer target, new world. So some of you have written new world. What does new world mean? Okay, so limited time premium. Okay, that was the last question that we discussed. Very good. Week, renegotiate. Trying developers portal. This part I couldn't understand. Rabbits and mice. Okay. Think if any one of you are launching a product, right? Please do this thinking. And it's there in so many different blogs. Christopher Jan's blog. It is there in Value Saas Guide. It is there in Upekkha blog. Do the rabbit deer calculation. That will save you years of pain. Price for value. Very good. Okay, so there's a bunch of pricing. There's a bunch around marketing. Right? And like as you are thinking about it, are you solving some of these problems that you initially said? Just closures are getting delayed, pipeline has become zero, customers are asking for discount. I'm seeing a lot of you have given answers here. So what are things that you're doing for working on closures getting delayed? Give but take, tweak the product. Okay, so very interesting to see all of this. Okay, so with that, thank you so much for taking this time. It was fun having this discussion, and back to you, Sandhya.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Rajan. It was one of the really most insightful, very understandable sessions that I have been to, and I'm really glad that you have come here to join us all to share this knowledge with all of us. I'm really sorry to all the participants whose questions we could not cover. I'll make sure that I get them to Rajan and try to get answers for them and share them back to you. But meanwhile, I request that all of you keep attending our webinars. We have more lined up next week. So yeah, thank you everyone, and see you again. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.